Hello, I'm Laetitia Avro, and we will speak today about null and unknown. It's funny because yesterday I spoke about SQL standard and how it was wonderful, and today I will try to explore one of the pain points of the SQL standard and how it's broken in many ways. First, who am I? My name is Laetitia Avro. I'm from France. I'm a DBA since 2007, and my first RDBMS was Postgres. Then I worked with Oracle, with SQL Server, and even with DB2. I'm a PostgreSQL Code of Conduct committee member, and I'm a co-founder for the Postgres Women organization. I work at Enterprise DB as a senior database consultant, and you can follow me on Twitter with L_Avro. Actually, my name is pretty rare, so apart from some kind of serialization system from Apache, you won't find a lot of things about my name. The other thing is my slides are quite clear. They are all about images, and you won't find a lot of words in it. So as I know that it can be confusing for some, you are very welcome to go to mydba.book.org. It's my blog. On the conf talk section, you will find a direct link to my slides, and it's not the same slide. It's annotated slide where you will find a lot more words if you need it. So please feel welcome to do that. But at the end of this session, there will be a quiz with a wonderful French bottle of wine as a prize. So anyone with a phone or a laptop open will be disqualified for the quiz because answers are on the annotated slide. And OK, so that's cheating. So we will speak about null and unknown. Who here thinks that they know everything about null? Great. Yeah. And who knows that unknown is a value in the SQL standard? Yeah, great. We will speak about the definition of this word, and we will try to explain what's null, what's unknown, and how it's confusing, what's the three-value logic, and why we should care about that. So first, some definitions about null. So the SQL standard defines quite precisely what null is. So when you hear people saying that null is not a value, well, the SQL standard says it's a value. It's a special value that is used to indicate the absence of any data value. I like to put it that way, that it's a value, but it doesn't mean it's a meaningful value. And the second, there's a second rule about null in the SQL standard, very important, says that every data type includes a special value called the null value, sometimes denoted by the keyword null. Meaning that in any SQL query, if you put the null value, you can't say which data type it is. So let's talk about what null is not. So null is not an empty string. Null is not a string with only spaces in it. Null is not the string null. Null is not 0. There are so many examples about what null is not, but it's so difficult to define what it is. For example, we have this wonderful function in Excel. It's called VLOOKUP, and it normally gives 0. So 0 for Excel, that's totally broken, says that it's true, because they have no such thing as Boolean data type. Well, so VLOOKUP function returns true if the cell is empty. And that's so broken, because empty is not the same thing that the value you're looking for. And we found out that a lot of studies were completely broken due to that misuse of function by Excel. Then there was this story that hit the news like 2 months ago or 1 month ago. A guy in California decided to register his license plate as NULL. And for 1 year, everything got fine because he was a careful driver and he never had a fine. Then he got a parking ticket, and obviously he had to pay his fine. But then the system said, OK, so this guy is NULL, and we have 12,000 fine tickets for NULL. So they sent them the 12,000 fine tickets. So obviously the guy complained, and it was all sorted out. But DMV decided not to correct the problem. And the only advice they could give him was to change his license plate. And now he still has 6,000 fine tickets to pay because it never changed. So they won't change the system. They won't change their bugs. So the guy will have a lot of tickets to pay. So what about unknown? Unknown is the value of a Boolean data type. So that's the difference between null and unknown. Unknown is Boolean, anytime. So it's a value Boolean that is either true or false. And you could say, how can it be true or false? And I would say just look at the Schrödinger cat. Is it alive? Is it dead? It's both at the same time. That's the same thing with unknown. The truth value of unknown, and that's where it's broken, is sometimes represented by the null value. And that's where I totally disagree with the secret standard. Because, yeah, that's confusing. So in my understanding, we have the null value, meaning we have no available data about that. And we have the unknown value, which is a Boolean value that states that we don't know. And it's totally different. So in my mind, we should have 4 different values with 4 different meanings for a Boolean attribute. We could have true, we could have false, we could have unknown, and we could have null. So let's try that with Postgres. And I'm sorry, I know there is a problem. I don't know why I have to reload my page so it will launch the schema thing. OK. OK, now it's good. So I made this demonstration. I'm on a SQL server. Yes, it's 13 version because we are under development for 13 version, but it will work with any other version of Postgres. I create a table named taste with only 1 column that's a Boolean. And into that table, I will try to insert the 4 different values we talked about earlier. So the true, the false, the unknown, and the null. And so Postgres says that he disagrees. So I say, let's try with null instead of unknown. And then Postgres says, yeah, I'm OK with that. And that's where I say, OK, so the SQL standard is broken, but maybe Postgres is broken too. So the question was, does Postgres implement the T031 SQL feature? This feature states that in order to have Booleans, you should be able to use, beyond several things, the Boolean literal value unknown, which we can't, as I demonstrated earlier. Oops. That's what a Boolean value is in the SQL standard, and that's why what Postgres won't allow. But where the standard is totally broken is that the states that sorry, I have a problem with my screen. I will fix that as soon as I can. Okay, so that's broken. And that has nothing to do here, okay. I'm sorry about that. So now it's not on the right screen. Let's do it. Okay, so the standard states that the specification does not make a distinction between the null value and the Boolean data type and the truth value unknown that is search often a SQL predicate, search condition, or Boolean value exception. And it even states that they may be used interchangeably to mean exactly the same thing. And that's totally broken to me, because you can't use the same name for two different things, or you will totally confuse them. And, well, I won't be able to fix the SQL standard, but maybe I will be able to fix a little PostgreSQL. So the other question we have is, how do you display null? That's pretty difficult. In math, we solved that problem by creating 0, but we saw earlier that 0 is not the same thing as null. And as René told us yesterday, we have this wonderful feature in pSQL that allows us to choose what we want to display null. So I choose something. That's great. Now, my PSQL will show Ada Lovelace in place of any null value. So if I select from the table I created earlier, I have a true value, a false value, and 2 Ada Lovelace. Then let's go to third value logic. So, do you know how to write a truth table in SQL? Actually, it's pretty simple. You just need a table with one row and with true, false, and, well, it should be unknown, but we know that Postgres can do that. And another table with a column with true, false, and, again, unknown. And you just have to do a Cartesian join on the both table, and you will end up with a truth table. So here the example is with an truth table. And the result will be, as expected, something like that. So of course, we still have Ada Lovelace instead of null values. So in order to really understand what that means in three-value logic, I decided to go with something that a lot of people here will know as the three logicians walk into a bar story. So three logicians walk into a bar, and the waiter or the waitress asks, does everyone want a beer? The first one said that he doesn't know. The second one said that he doesn't know. And so the third one said yes. Why? Because if you look at the truth table, you will, obviously, we just state that the logicians know what they want themselves. By being married with the mathematicians, I'm not sure that's true, but we will state that the logicians know what they want for themselves. And if they hadn't wanted a beer, they would have said no, as the false column. So if they say, I don't know, it's because they want a beer, but they don't know what the other people want. So the two said, I don't know, because they want one, and they don't know what the other one wants. And the third one, as he wants a beer, he can freely say that, yes, everyone does want a beer. And now, we will have something special, because as null is so complex and unknown, also, I decided that we will have a quiz. Why? Because I'm sure a lot of people will fail that quiz, and it's not because I'm sadistic, but it's because I know that we learn so much when we fail that we should, actually I think we should celebrate failure. But so here, I'm quite sure that a lot of people will learn much more just with practical example of where you can go so wrong with your assumptions about null and none. So I will let a judge, Magnus, will you come here, please? So the prize is a French bottle of wine. It's a sparkling wine from near my home. And it's pretty good, actually. So I'm sure you will enjoy it. And no, that's not for you. I told you you will have one in Milan. So you're pleased to come to Milan, too. I will be able to carry more than one bottle. So please shut down your laptop or be ready to be disqualified for the quiz. Our first question will be that one. So how many rows will this query return? So it's a simple select with values 1, true, 2, false, 3, null as t, with a where clause as null. So who does think that this query will get 0 answer? Okay. Who thinks there will be 1 answer? Okay. 2 answers? Okay. And Aminata Sana Congo? So there will be bonus points for people able to name the women that will be on those slides. And if you don't know them, you're totally free to Google them after and to watch their Wikipedia pages because they're amazing. The correct answer was 0. It's 0 because null in the where clause is treated as false. That's totally broken, but that's a secret standard. So let's find out with that one. How many rows will this query return? I'll let you process that one. Then 0, who thinks it will return 0 row? 1? Okay, and who knows who that woman is? No, it's not Ada Lovelace. It's too easy, Ada Lovelace. Who thinks there will be 2 rows? Okay, and that woman is Maria Mitchell. So the answer is 1 row, because inequality or equality operations are null when one of the operands is null, and null in a where clause, again, is treated like false. So we will have only 1 row. And you can see that Postgres is broken also with the spelling, because when there is 0 row, there is a S, and so it's spelling 0 rows, and when there is only 1, it's 1 row. What happened? Magnus, you're to blame, of course, like always. The spelling issue with 0 with an S, yeah, I will. I will. So how many rows will this query return? Who thinks it will return 0 row? No one? 1 row? No one? Now, 1. 2 rows? And who knows who that woman is? It's Nicole Reine Étable de la Brière-le-Pôtre. Yeah, and that's easy for me. So the answer is 2. So the answer is 2 because is distinct in the SQL standard means are not identical. And identical for null value is defined as if V1 and V2 are both the null value, the V1 is identical to V2. Means that when you want an distinct from, you will get the null value. So how many rows will this query return? I'll let you figure it out a little. And just process to figure out who this woman is at the same time. Who thinks there will be 0 row as a result? Okay, no one. 1 row? Okay. 2 rows? And that woman is Annie Jumpcannon. So the answer is 1 row. And it's 1 row because in can only result in null and false. And null is, again, used as false in a where clause. So how many rows will this query return? So it's the same, I think it's the same one, but with a not in instead of the in. And you can process who that woman is, of course. Who thinks there will be 0 row? Okay. 1 row? 2 rows? Alice Lee? And it's 0. And 0 because, as I said, in can be either null or false, but here it's a not. So when you have to be very careful when you write not in subqueries, because if you happen to have a null value in it, you will never have any row in your answer, in your results, and that's probably not what you want to do. So as a rule of thumb, what I say is when you want to use not in, use it with constants, but don't use it with subqueries. There are other ways in SQL somewhere to do so. So I'm sure you know that one. She's one of the most famous. Come on. Commodore Grace Hopper. Yeah, so how many rows will this query return? Will it be 0? 1? 2? And Commodore Grace M. Hopper. The answer is 1 row. It's 1 row because we have an inequality operator, and we've seen that inequality with null can be only will be null, and we're in the where clause, so the null is treated as false, and for the false one, it's false. And for the inequality, true is always greater than the other value. So that's why we have 1 row. So that's different. What will this query return? I'm not asking you the number of rows. I'm asking you what it will return. Select null equals 1 or 1 equals 1 as any easily. Will it be true? Okay. False? Null? Any easily? It will be true. Because with the OR operator, you can have either null or true. Because you can have false with an OR operator only if both operands are false. But obviously, as null means that it can be either true or false, because it's not null here. It should be unknown. And we've seen that in the definition of unknown, it means that it could be either true or false. It means that if it's true, as the second one is true, the OR operation will be true. And if it's false, as the second one is always true, it will be true too. So could you figure out that one? Select null is null is null is null is null as Margaret Hamilton. Will it be true? Will it be false? Will it be null? Will it be Margaret Hamilton? What do you think? False. It's confusing because we will think that we will have some switch for each is null, whereas we won't, because the first one is null. Yeah, that's totally true. And then is null, it's false. And all the other ones are false. So this is Ada Lovelace. What will select null if one null? Null if it's a standard SQL function, so you should definitely know about it. Will it return 0, 1, null? Ada Lovelace? Well, actually, it will return Ada Lovelace because of my P set before. So everybody was wrong. What will this query return? Select Marilu pipe A pipe Jepsen from values null as T from A. Will it be 0? No one trying anymore? Unknown? Marilu Jepsen? Ada Lovelace? Yeah, it's again Ada Lovelace. So I was quite quick on my explanation, so I have plenty of time, so we will have time for questions if you need it. To sum it up, null means no data. It doesn't mean unknown. It really means that there is no data, and there are a whole lot of reasons why we don't have data. Maybe it's because we clearly don't know, but maybe it's because data are corrupted. Maybe it's because we don't know yet. That's not the same thing, and so on. But it's like a black hole of data, as René said. I really need you to understand that null is not meaningful. It's a value, but it's not meaningful. You don't want to make assumptions of what null means in a database. It doesn't mean anything, except that we don't have that data. And then the second thing I want you to remember is unknown is a Boolean value for unknown, which means we don't know, basically. But unknown is a value for true or false, like the Schrödinger cat. It's really about that. It's either true or false. It can't be something other than true or false. It's just that it's unknown for the moment. So the really important question is, should we really care about that? And I think there are several answers to that. The first one is yes, we should care. Why? Because we're scientists, and as scientists, we know that names matter and concepts matter, and we want to really understand in depth what's behind concepts. And that's how we will avoid pitfalls when we're writing SQL queries and so on. And the other thing should be, well, actually, we couldn't care less, because as the SQL standard states that you can use a null instead of unknown and unknown instead of null, why should I care? And so I think the correct answer is unknown, either true or false. And so don't forget to give feedback. On the feedback URL you will find on the PostgresOpen website. And I'm open to questions, to any questions you could have about that. Yes? Yes, so the question was, are unknown only used for Boolean? And yes, unknown is only for Boolean because unknown means true or false.
So I could say, have a query and the where clause says where column equals, a Boolean column equals unknown, and that will always evaluate as true. Whether it's true or false in the column.
No, you can't use equal operator. Well, it's broken, equal operator, but you could use is unknown, and it works with Postgres.
Oh, is. So if I said Boolean column is unknown, that would always evaluate as true.
Actually, no. So the question was to use a where clause with a column, any column, Boolean column is unknown. And the question David was asking is if it will always return as true. And it will return true if the Boolean value of that column is true, is unknown. But other than that, it will answer false. If you have a true value in that column, for that row it will be false.
So you have that unknown value in the column.
Yeah. So you can't put a null value in Postgres because it's broken, but you can put a null value in a Boolean.
So what's the advantage of unknown over Boolean?
The question was, what's the advantage of unknown over Boolean?
Oh, I meant unknown over null. I meant to say.
None for Boolean, because it's not the same meaning. It doesn't mean that it's either true or false. It means that we don't have that data. And that's different. We weren't able to fetch that data or to get it into the computer system or whatever. But it's not the same thing that saying, I know that this data is either true or false. It's philosophy.
So to be clear on that, make sure I'm understanding. So unknown as a Boolean value in the standard is not null?
No. So the question was that if unknown had a Boolean value in the standard that was is null. Is it your question?
No. You said unknown is saying that it's either true or false. So then unknown would be not null?
No, because so the question was as unknown is either true or false. An unknown column with is null should answer false, but as the secret standard states that you can use null in place of unknown and vice versa, and it's broken, it will answer yes if you have an unknown value with a null statement. But in Postgres, you can't have that because you don't have a non-Boolean literal. So you can't have that. So Magnus, who's the winner?
Who thinks they're the winner? The two contenders. How many
Yeah.
wrongs do you think you have? I got the not in wrong, and I got the null versus Ada Lovelace wrong.
Yeah, and I think that guy had the not null, the not in true, and he was the only one.
He was the only one who had that one right. But then you had the Ada Lovelace thing wrong twice.
Yeah.
I got that one time. So you both had
Yeah, I think you.
You had two trick questions wrong, and you had one trick question wrong. Yeah. So I think we have a winner in back. Because they were all trick questions. That you got one real question wrong as well. So I got one real question wrong and one trick question.
Yeah.
And a real question wrong that I'm sure most of us had at some point had wrong in an actual query as well, with a not in that's evil.
Yeah, yeah. Not in is really, really something you don't want to use.
I think it's unknown.
Yeah.
No, it's known evil. The operator that is evil.
Yeah. We should add a note about how evil it is. I think there's something in the documentation about that. So thank you for being there, and I hope you enjoyed this conf talk.